Come one, come all, fans and followers of the Zane YouTube channel. I'm back today with my most scuffed setup yet to bring you guys some more banger content, some more valuable information. The other day, I was driving down an isolated gravel road when I came to a headway with somebody who I assumed to be my age. You know, I hit the cordial, smile, wave, keep driving, right? But I saw this kid and I was like, man, no part of him even considered smiling, no part of him even considered waving. And it really kind of gave me the idea to write up this here script. Today I'm talking about a subject called Gen Z is antisocial? Question mark, because we don't know if Gen Z is actually antisocial. Let's get right into it. It's fair to say that Gen Z is the first generation of children and young adults who grew up with direct access to the internet. I remember even by the time I got to second grade, I had peers who had phones and access to Snapchat, which is kind of weird because 7 to 8 year olds probably shouldn't be able to be socially active with each other outside of school. That's kind of just how I was raised. I didn't get a phone until I was way older, around like 7th or 8th grade. So maybe to some Gen Zers, I'm like out of touch. But for personally, after lots and lots of reflection and thought, I think that waiting to get a phone, waiting to get social media till I was older was definitely a good thing my parents did. Even though in the time I was kind of like frustrated at the fact that I couldn't, look at Instagram or look at Snapchat or TikTok, Musical.ly, Vine, whatever the case may be. For many Gen Zers, this constant connectivity reinforced negative behaviors. The ability to be connected while apart lessened the gravity and importance of in-person communication. Phones, social media, and outside pressure to be tapped in made tangible connection and digital connection interchangeable. This directly causes the coldness and antisocialness we see in many young adults these days. The worst part is the vast majority are either completely blind or indifferent to these behaviors. Years of scrolling and being more genuine online than in person have built barriers so high that most of Gen Z is either intimidated by them or unwilling to change them. High rates of social anxiety, lack of motivation to be present, and a mostly negative general outlook on life only heightens the damage from these already critical blows. Personally, I don't think Gen Z is antisocial. If anything, most of them are willing to socialize, but only need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of prompting. A collective romanticizing of being nonchalant a few years ago made making the first move anxiety-inducing. Furthermore, with new technology like meta glasses, you have to be constantly aware that your every move can be recorded, misinterpreted, and ridiculed online. Socializing is made very daunting because of this. Most of the people that I've met that are Gen Z are usually pretty social. They usually have a lot to talk about, but I think a lot of people are very nervous to go ahead and like outwardly express themselves because so much of your personality is dependent on your hobbies and your interests. And if your interests don't align with another person's interests, then a lot of the times you don't really have a basis of connection. What happens is it's harder to connect with them and actually talk to them about something that they might care about because you have to just inquire further, and a lot of people are unwilling to do that further inquiry. When meeting somebody of any background, a lot of the times what happens is we stick kind of to a script, a generalization, overarching, like, okay, well, if I'm meeting a new girl, I'll talk to her the same way I talk to every other girl that I meet. Where if you were genuinely intrigued with who they were, intrigued with what they live for, you would ditch the script and go based on how you feel and what you genuinely want to know about that person. To many, socializing feels like a performance. Put on a show for the viewer, and maybe you'll get something out of it. Interactions have become transactions, where each party expects something in return. The big idea, socializing has a decisively performative undertone in the Big 26. it should have a genuinely explorative one. A decisively performative undertone is where you draw conclusions based on what gender, what age, what race, what body type, what presentation you see out of a person. You make generalizations based on that, and those kind of decide how you go about interacting with that person. Whereas you should have a genuine explorative undertone. What that means is that your heart, your mind, your body, it all is intrigued, it's all locked in, it's all wanting to know more about the other person. How can anyone expect connection when we're unwilling to connect? When you're unwilling to ditch your script, when you're unwilling to be yourself, when you're unwilling to just be curious and want to know about the other person. You know, people are going to notice that. If you're sticking to questions that are baseline and aren't really probing at who they are or what they do, they're going to notice that, and they're going to be like, oh, well, this person doesn't really care to know me. We're just kind of filling dead space here. I could go about my life and be indifferent if I had never had this social interaction. What my point is you got to be the lasting impression. You got to want to know. You got to inquire, and you got to be genuine. You can't be nonchalant. You can't be underwhelming. You can't be a dulled down version of yourself if you ever want to get to know anybody. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to stay lonely. And that's a big part of why so much of Gen Z is antisocial or lonely or the lonely generation. You know, it's because so many of them are not bad at socializing. They're just unwilling to step out of their comfort zone and actually do the socializing. Which, again, I touched on last video. We let social media do a lot of our socializing, and we kind of get scared when we get to the in-person ordeal. I think it's definitely unfair to say that this wave of antisocial behavior portrayed by Gen Z is all of our own doing, because honestly, the technology companies, the social media companies, those billion-dollar corporations have made this bed, and they desperately want all of us to sleep in it. However, you can break the norm by not using the bed. You know, scrolling, social media, it all makes being antisocial so much easier because it feels like you're being social when really you're being solitary. I personally am a firm believer that there are very important moments that should be spent in your solitude, and there are also very important moments that should be spent in social settings. But you can't gray those two areas, and I think that social media very heavily grays those two areas between solitary and social moments. In order to be social, you have to ditch the social media. That's going to be a big idea for this video. Speaking of that, I have a essay that I wrote maybe a month back about the impact of social media on the young adult and adolescent brain. I think I'm going to go ahead and do like a little narrative where I read out that essay, and I probably will go ahead and post it because I think some people could definitely take a lot of valuable information from that. I did a lot of research on it, and it's already done. So as soon as I get around to recording it, I'll go ahead and post it for all y'all to see. Let's wrap this up. What I say put the phone down, because honestly, our parents were right. It is those damn phones. Everyone else my age and Gen Z's age is questioning if socializing is really worth it. So you got to be the one who does it for the love of the game. Approach people of all ages, genders, colors, shapes, sizes, any criteria, because it doesn't matter who you talk to. It just matters that you are talking to them. Dead ass. Instead of scrolling social media, read, write, and be productive in your free time. Lord knows the TikTok captions are not raising your intellect one bit. Read a book and you will learn infinitely more than hours and hours and hours of scrolling. Be dynamic and don't be static. I want you to be the reason why Gen Z isn't complacent, why Gen Z isn't antisocial, why Gen Z isn't outwardly cold to people they don't know. Because guess what? If you spend a little bit of time doing what you love, you'll probably have a lot more love in your heart to spread outwardly towards people you don't know. Smile at people when you're driving down a gravel road, even if you don't know them. Hold doors for people. You know, be an upstanding human being. Do what you love. Do what makes you happy, and make other people happy in doing so. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about this subject. I'm about to get rained out, and my Jamiroquai hat is not built for the rain, nor is my recording setup, aka the MacBook. So I'm going to scramble back to my car, scramble back to my house, edit this video, and upload this damn video. Hopefully, you will be seeing it within the rest of the day. Check out my setup. I'm out here in this little hut before I go, and I'm up on a hill. All right, bye folks. Tap in next time. See ya.